Memory. A deafening roar erupted from thousands of voices, the terminal itself trembling under the sheer volume of anticipation. BTS's Jin had arrived, but it was not an ordinary arrival. Every detail pointed to something far larger, far more significant than just a routine overseas appearance. Why were whispers of a long-awaited BTS reunion suddenly dominating every corner of the airport? And why did the atmosphere feel less like a celebrity welcome and more like a historic moment in music history? From the moment the first unconfirmed sightings of Jin began spreading on social media in the early hours, the scene outside the arrival gate turned into a phenomenon. Fans armed with banners, light sticks, and camera lenses filled every available space. Security personnel struggled to maintain order as the crowd swelled beyond expected capacity. This was not the controlled chaos of a typical K-pop airport reception. It was an eruption of emotion, amplified by a single word that had begun circulating within the fandom: reunion. Those who witnessed Jin's first steps into the arrival hall reported an almost cinematic energy. His appearance was sharp and deliberate. Black tailored coat, dark sunglasses, an expression that was calm yet unreadable. But the most striking part wasn't his outfit or even his presence. It was the unexpected figures moving discreetly behind him. Eagle-eyed armies claimed they spotted silhouettes that looked suspiciously like other BTS members. Was this simply a coincidence, or the first tangible confirmation that the band's long-speculated reunion could be closer than anyone dared to believe? The roar of the crowd hit its peak when Jin paused mid-walk, glancing over his shoulder for a fraction of a second, as though checking on someone just out of sight. Multiple fan videos captured the moment, and within minutes, they began circulating online with captions like, "He's not alone," and "Look who's walking behind him." In the absence of an official announcement, every tiny gesture, every half-smile, every fleeting glance became a piece of a larger puzzle that armies were desperate to solve. Inside the terminal, the atmosphere was electric but tense. Fans weren't just screaming, they were scanning, searching for confirmation. Some claimed to hear a distinct voice that sounded like RM greeting staff in Korean. Others swore they caught a glimpse of Jimin's familiar walk. And yet, with every possible clue, no one could be entirely certain. The members, if they were indeed present, were masters at moving without being fully seen. This only intensified the speculation. Outside the airport, the streets leading away from the arrival zone were clogged with fans and media alike, chasing any vehicle that could be carrying Jin, or perhaps more. What was supposed to be a straightforward airport arrival turned into a high-stakes chase for answers. Every black van that left the terminal became a target of attention. When Jin finally stepped into one, the crowd's unified scream was so loud that it echoed through the glass walls of the building. But the bigger question remained: did other members slip into the convoy unnoticed? In the hours leading up to this moment, subtle but telling signs had emerged. A spike in BTS-related staff travel bookings was noticed by fans tracking flight patterns. A sudden increase in high-level security presence at the airport, far beyond what Jin alone typically required, hinted at additional high-profile individuals. Even airport employees appeared on edge, exchanging quick, hushed conversations and avoiding direct answers to curious questions. These were the kind of silent indicators that armies had learned to decode over the years, and today, every sign pointed toward a monumental gathering. The emotional intensity inside the terminal was palpable. Some fans openly wept at the sight of Jin, while others seemed almost frozen in disbelief, clutching their phones as if afraid to miss a single second. It wasn't just about seeing him in person, it was the weight of what his arrival might signify. Could Amsterdam be the chosen city for BTS's first public reunion since their hiatus? And if so, why here and why now? International media outlets had already dispatched reporters to the scene, their cameras jostling for a clear angle. In a matter of minutes, Jin in Amsterdam trended worldwide, but it wasn't the phrase itself that shook the internet. It was the string of related hashtags hinting at BTS reunion that sent fans into a frenzy. The world was watching, but it was the ARMY who felt the gravity most acutely, each heartbeat syncing with the possibility that this was the day they had been waiting for. The moments after Jin disappeared behind the tinted glass of the van were no less intense. Fans didn't disperse, they followed. Groups of ARMYs began trailing the convoy, live streaming their pursuit, hoping for any further sign of other members. In some clips, there were flashes of additional security cars flanking the main vehicle, a detail that only fueled speculation. Was this extraordinary level of protection solely for Jin, or was there someone else worth shielding at all costs? By now, the rumors had reached fever pitch. Hotels in central Amsterdam reported a sudden and unexplained spike in VIP bookings, and several fans claimed to have seen large blacked-out tour buses parked in discreet locations near the Ziggo Dome. The connection was too obvious to ignore. Could BTS be preparing a surprise appearance, perhaps even a performance in the city? What made the scene even more gripping was Jin's demeanor throughout. Unlike previous arrivals where he might wave and smile openly, this time he was reserved, focused, almost solemn. It was as if he knew the magnitude of what was unfolding but was committed to keeping it under wraps until the precise moment. The air of secrecy only heightened the tension, making every fan present feel as though they were part of a historic secret yet to be unveiled. As night fell over Amsterdam, the city itself seemed to hold its breath. Streets near the suspected hotel locations saw an influx of fans camping out, refusing to leave until they had answers. Live streams ran nonstop, and theories multiplied by the hour. Some pointed to the fact that all BTS members' individual schedules had been unusually quiet in the days prior, leaving them theoretically free to assemble. Others reminded the fandom that Jin's recent activities had hinted at something big, without offering specifics. Every breadcrumb felt deliberate, whether the reunion was indeed happening or whether the sightings were simply a series of perfectly timed coincidences. One truth was undeniable. Jin's arrival in Amsterdam had become a seismic event in the global music landscape. It wasn't just a celebrity stepping off a plane. It was the spark that reignited one of the most powerful fan collectives in the world. And if even a fraction of the reunion theories proved true, the city could soon become the epicenter of a moment that would be replayed, analyzed, and remembered for decades. In the end, what happened at Amsterdam Airport today was more than just a welcome. It was a collision of anticipation, mystery, and unshakable loyalty, the kind of moment that only BTS and their ARMY could create. Whether the reunion is confirmed tomorrow, next week, or in the most unexpected way possible, the memory of Jin's arrival and the possibility it carried will linger, shaping the countdown to whatever history is about to unfold. Under the fluorescent glare of Amsterdam Airport's arrival hall, every second after Jin's first step into view seemed to stretch into an eternity. The line between rumor and reality blurred, and the crowd's unified energy pulsed like a living organism. Every camera shutter sounded like a gunshot in the tense air. Fans weren't just documenting the moment. They were hunting for evidence, piecing together fragments of a mystery that had been building for months. It was no longer simply about Jin's arrival. It was about the undercurrent of expectation that something unprecedented was about to unfold. Airport staff found themselves caught in a delicate balancing act, keeping the terminal operational while managing a crowd that refused to be contained. The sound of chanting echoed through the glass corridors, alternating between Jin's name and the names of other BTS members. This was telling. At previous solo appearances, chants were singular and focused. Tonight, however, the sound was layered, an audible reflection of the collective hope that this was not just Jin's moment, but BTS's moment. Inside the secured area, the situation was even more carefully orchestrated. Witnesses described seeing multiple unmarked vehicles arriving through a service entrance long before Jin's scheduled landing. The timing coincided with reports from aviation trackers of other flights arriving from Seoul within a close time frame. Though passenger manifests are not publicly disclosed, Army's talent for decoding patterns made it impossible to ignore the possibility that more than one BTS member had touched down in Amsterdam that day. The press corps, many of whom had been tipped off to Jin's arrival hours earlier, found themselves improvising on the spot. They had prepared for a solo artist arrival story, but the sudden shift in energy, the possibility of a reunion, demanded a new approach. Broadcast reporters, caught mid-sentence during live feeds, adjusted their tone in real time, hinting that something bigger was brewing without committing to statements they couldn't yet confirm. On the floor, armies who had been following BTS for years began cross-referencing their own data. The fandom's online network, notorious for its speed and accuracy, exploded with speculation. In one corner of the terminal, a group of fans huddled around a phone, replaying a slowed-down video clip frame by frame to determine if the outline behind Jin matched Jungkook's height and build. Another group claimed to have overheard staff conversing in a mix of Korean and Dutch, discussing schedules and the Dome, a phrase that immediately led fans to suspect the Ziggo Dome, Amsterdam's premier concert venue. Even those who tried to temper expectations couldn't deny the unprecedented atmosphere. Jin's every step was tracked with military precision. His bodyguards, normally spread in a standard perimeter formation, were unusually tight around him. A detail veteran fans knew meant one of two things. Either there was an elevated security threat, or there was someone else nearby requiring equal protection. The latter theory was the one that gained momentum by the minute. As the convoy of black vans began to roll out from the restricted airport exit, the tension outside reached a breaking point. Fans who had been waiting for hours surged toward the barricades, their chants turning into a singular deafening cry. Some fans were live streaming from the sidewalks, their cameras shaking from both movement and adrenaline. The feed quality didn't matter. The world was watching not for clarity, but for the smallest proof that BTS's reunion was no longer just a fantasy. The streets of Amsterdam, already narrow and congested in the evening, became an unplanned stage for one of the most intense fan mobilizations the city had seen. Motorbikes carrying media crews weaved through traffic in pursuit of the convoy. Cars honked impatiently as waves of people crossed intersections without waiting for signals. In the middle of it all, Jin's van, identifiable only by the fact that it was the most heavily guarded, kept moving steadily toward an undisclosed destination. It was at this point that the second major clue of the night emerged. A widely shared fan video showed two additional vans following closely behind Jin's, each flanked by their own security detail. In the brief moments before the convoy disappeared into the Amsterdam night, a partial reflection in one tinted window seemed to reveal the outline of someone wearing a beanie, a style long associated with BTS's leader, RM. Whether this was deliberate misdirection or a genuine sighting, it was enough to send social media into meltdown. Back at the airport, those who had not managed to catch the convoy began gathering at nearby hotels, convinced the group would be checking in somewhere central. One luxury hotel in particular saw an unusual increase in security and privacy measures, extra staff at the entrance, lobby curtains drawn, and deliveries accepted only through a back entrance. Several armies camping out nearby swore they heard muffled laughter and music coming from an upper floor, though no clear proof emerged. The possibility that BTS could be rehearsing for a surprise performance in Amsterdam began to feel less like wild speculation and more like a calculated theory. Fans began mapping out all potential rehearsal spaces in the city, cross-referencing them with sightings of equipment trucks. The Ziggo Dome, already rumored, became the focal point. Late-night workers in the area claimed to have seen large crates marked stage fragile being wheeled inside under tight supervision. By midnight, the conversation had shifted from, "Is this a reunion?" to "When will they reveal it?" The emotional stakes were enormous. For ARMY, this wasn't just about music. It was about seeing the 7 members together again after a period that had tested their patience and loyalty. Jin's return from his own hiatus had already been an emotional landmark, but the possibility that it might align with a full group reunion gave the moment a near-mythic weight. And yet, for all the excitement, there was an undercurrent of calculated silence from those closest to the situation. No staff posts.
No accidental leaks.
No subtle teases from the members themselves. It was a silence so complete that it felt intentional, as if the reunion, if it was indeed happening, would be unveiled in one single, earth-shattering moment rather than through a gradual build-up. For now, Amsterdam is on high alert, its streets buzzing with one of the most concentrated gatherings of global fans in recent memory. Hotels are full, public transport is running at capacity, and the city's nightlife has taken on an unusual rhythm, with entire bars and cafes packed with ARMY-watching fan live streams on big screens. Whether the reunion happens tomorrow, in a week, or in the unlikeliest of surprise appearances, one fact remains. Jin's arrival has already altered the emotional landscape of the fandom. This was not just an airport welcome. This was the ignition of a global countdown. And when that countdown hits 0, Amsterdam may well become the city where history changed, not just for BTS, but for the millions who have been waiting for this very moment to finally arrive.